Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm excited to be here and share with you all. This is my community, my people. So my name is Wendy, and I'm a Canadian-born Chinese. My grandparents came from Guangzhou region of China, and my parents and I have been settlers on this Lekwungen territories here for my whole life. So I just want to let you know I'm cisgender, and my pronouns are she and her. So I'm also a counselor at the University of Victoria, and I'm just going to do a screen share, and we'll start. Just hang on. Okay, so I've got this screen share on, and I'm going to be just starting from the beginning of the slideshow. So there we go. So just to let you know, I'm really excited to share this with you. I'm so glad you're here. So this is the University of Victoria, where I'm a counselor. So I've been a counselor here since 2003, came back to my hometown. I've been born and raised here. And I also have a private practice. And what I loved about the UVic, or the University of Victoria, is that it's surrounded within the ring and around the ring. So the beauty of what a ring is and what that represents, the circle. And I am really grateful to be here, practice here, to live here. So honoring this place. I also want to honor my teachers who have really influenced me with this particular concept. So as I was developing here, Virginia Satir, John Banmen, I started with John Banmen in 1994. And at that time, I found my therapeutic home. So I was fortunate to study with him at UBC. And even after I graduated from UBC, I continued to study with him all these years as being supervised, interning with him, just being around him and being so grateful for learning. I also am very influenced by non-duality thinking. So it really kind of fits with Taoism. So somehow those two seem to really fit. And I really, really feel that it speaks to me. And so I've been practicing Taoist Tai Chi. So just even being in the body and doing Tai Chi really helps me even connect more to the Satir model. And I have a Christian upbringing, and I really love energy psychology as well. So these things have really, really influenced me in my practice. And learning the Satir model from John really helped me to actually this iceberg metaphor was my thesis study. So I actually was able to understand what happened to therapists as a result of studying the iceberg. And I really found that there was so much that happened. I was so curious, the changes that I saw happening for people when I witnessed as I was in the training program, and not only for them, but also for myself, looking at our behaviors, the coping, the feelings of feelings, perceptions, expectations, yearnings, and self. And there were so many intricacies. It seems such a simple concept, but this is the whole thing about the Satir model. It is super simple and it's super complex, just like the universe. So I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful model, and I'm so grateful. But I think some of the idea of the idea that I'm bringing to you today was more, I wanted to know what happened in terms of time and space. And so I thought that there had to be something else, and it started coming to me, and this is what I'm going to be sharing with you here today. One idea is that I really do appreciate that Kathleen Mackey Banmen and John Banmen brought forth in their training was these 5 essential elements for transformation, because I was so curious about what happens in transformation, because I was seeing people changing in front of my eyes. And sometimes it's just a moment, it's just something happens in their body. There might be something that they say and share. And so it's so much about what what was going on, that this change was happening. I really, really wanted to know. And these 5 ideas really, really helped me to start synthesizing what was happening. So the fact that it's systemic, meaning everything impacts everything. The interconnections of the Satir model, she had so many tools, and that all the tools fit. So you can put the self mandala in with the iceberg metaphor. You can put the iceberg metaphor in with the family of origin, so the family of origin, and in terms of ancestors, everything can get tied together, and the stages of change interacts with all of them. So I love the idea of a systemic world. And then the experiential. This is the piece that I realized, that it had to be experiential in order for change to happen. And so when I just talk about, or storytelling, this is where, we were taught that story is so important, but story is not how change happens. So this is where you can actually do therapy without a lot of story. And I found this piece so fascinating. So I was curious, what is experiential? I didn't really get it in the beginning because it was such a cognitive thing. You're trying to understand cognitively until it actually drops into your body and you start actually integrating it. So to me, the congruence of the therapist was me changing so that I became healthier, more connected to myself in my body, so that I could actually help others experience. And I had to experience. It couldn't just be me being a therapist thinking I knew so much with my ego. You had to be egoless, you had to be humble, and you had to get out of the way so that I could actually drop into my own vulnerability, so that I could help take other people to their vulnerabilities. So part of that was getting counseling and getting my own support. The positive directional is just that that's why I love the Satir model, because you can always find a place where there's hope, and the whole piece about change. So the experiential change, all these pieces I was really kind of wondering about, but also thought it was a wonderful synthesis of what was important for us to keep in mind when we're trying to do therapy and counseling with people. When I was doing a thesis, John was gracious to introduce me to his level 2 class. I got to meet all these people that just came straight into my thesis. And so Deb said to me that she had a half-hour session with John. Yes, of course, we're all therapists learning, but she said it was 30-minute session. And she said, I was grateful for what had happened. I knew something had shifted at the level of self, because there was almost a feeling of fresh air going right inside. It was hard to describe, but it was a feeling of something changing, so that we knew, that I know through energy psychology, that her cellular body changed when she changed either her perceptions or her yearnings or her sense of connection to self. I knew that in that iceberg metaphor, and the iceberg metaphor represents a person. For those that are not as exposed to the iceberg, it is a metaphor for who a person is and who you are. So I started wondering about attention and intention, these 2 words that when I put my attention onto something, I could be becoming more intentional about what I was saying, with the questions I asked people, with the questions I asked myself. And I was always curious about the glass half empty, glass half full, because I have always lived glass half full on the outside when I was younger, but on the inside, I felt empty. So, I've had to really work on balancing so that I feel full inside and full outside. So filling up myself was through working on my sense of self and self-esteem. But I was curious about the past and the future impacts. And so I really felt that the past and the future impact the present, and the present creates our past and future in this exact moment. So the few moments that when we heard Jennifer's beautiful poem, and when we heard Linda's meditation, and when we were all coming on and saying hi, that moment is over. The moment that is here is the moment that I'm right here speaking to you in this moment. This is it. And it's a really hard concept to get, because we focus so much on past and future. I just want to stop the screen share for a second, and I'll come back to this. So what I really realized that I kept thinking in terms of time frame. So let's say if I look this way, when I was talking to people or to students here, especially at the university, and I kept thinking, Virginia always used the body for sculpting. And I kept thinking, when we're focused on the past, we basically are this way. Our mind and our body is remembering things from the past. And so sometimes we're reaching to the past, we're looking to the past, we are not in the present moment. I can't see you when I'm focusing and remembering what a loser I am. I don't know, nobody loves me. I don't belong. All these common themes that everybody seems to have. I'm not good enough. Gee, if only my parents did this. Why didn't I do that? Every time you focus on the past, you basically take yourself back there. And the body doesn't know the difference. The body in this moment believes it's back there. So I could be talking to you, but my mind is back there. I'm actually back there. I'm not with you. So this is what I kept thinking, wow, this is so interesting when you really use the body to just look at this. What happens then when I look at the past here, and this becomes, I'm living in the past. When I'm trying to think of the future, my past impacts my future and I want to push it away, or I want to resist it, or I want to avoid it. I don't want to dream. So this is kind of the idea that was coming to me here. I'm coming back to the screen share now. So Satir said, so I woven a lot of Satir comments in here because I really wanted to let you know how much she knew and how much she's influenced this idea. So she said, look at the past, don't stare at it. Isn't that a wonderful concept? Because most of us stare at it. And I have spent a lifetime sharing my regrets, thinking I wasn't good enough, thinking that something's wrong with me. My nickname was Dodo for dummy. So I knew that, and I didn't think I was smart. So I really wondered what the heck I could do about going to university. So I didn't come back to get my master's degree for 20 years after my bachelor degree, because I didn't think I was smart enough. But sometimes we allow that past to define us. And that the experiential piece, Satir said, at this moment, experience the precious now. So in this moment right now, we can experience the now. So I want you just to take a deep breath in right now. Breathe in to your body and notice how your breath drops into your body. And exhale. And then the next moment when you breathe in, just have an honoring that here you are. And exhale. And then now let's just give thanks that here you are. Let's giving thanks. Take a breath in again. And thanks and gratitude for here you are. Here we are together. So that's an experiential moment. When we stop all the thought, we can access the breath to help ourselves experience and use our intention to be there. Another idea that Satir said regarding change happens only in the present. So when I saw that, I thought, wow. Because when people talk about change, they're just talking about it. When they talk about feelings, they're just talking about feelings. You have to feel your feelings for feelings to actually move through you. Otherwise, it's just a concept. And so when we're doing therapy with people, you have to have them feel their feelings. Then the change happens because the feeling is moving through them. So change happens only in the present. So I ended up, I might go when I brought my idea, so this is my zero infinity idea, this concept that you just see here, and I'll explain it, but I've had a client say, I've used the figure eight. It's helped me connect to my heart. It's one of the best tools I've had in a long time, because I wanted them to have something with movement and motion that explained time, because time doesn't stand still, but it is in the stillness that time evolves. And so this was just a client when I actually talked to them about the infinity symbol. So as I was thinking about experiential, I like to bring in Confucius because that's my Asian background. Confucius said, I hear and I forget, I see and I believe, I do and I understand. And that's the power of the Satir model and the Satir training, is that as we have people have experiential moments, they actually can understand what really is happening. It's not just a concept, because university can be such a conceptual place. And I get so many people that are up in their heads figuring things out, but they're not in their bodies. So experiential is so important. And neither from nor towards at the still point, there the dance is. So T.S. Eliot knew about something about the still point, and I kept thinking, what is the still point? Because I kept thinking, most of us are so afraid of being nobody. I'm no one, I'm nobody, I'm nothing. But as I was meditating more, and really with Gangaji and Ama and Sadhguru, I really love all these different people, non-duality teachers, Rupert Spira. They're fantastic, because what happens when you drop into the moment that you have with a quietness, all of a sudden peace is there. So when you take, our lives are filled with distractions, with computers, with text messaging, with being distracted from our own selves, because we're so afraid to be with ourselves, because what if I'm nobody? What if nothing's here? But the truth is, what I'm really learning is you want to be no thing, no body. So when we're nothing, no thing, at that place, when you quiet yourself down, you can become everything, interconnect with the universe and all. So I was really curious about this. So I came up with this idea of zero infinity. And so if you look at it, the circle is actually wholeness. To me, this is when congruence is in this circle. And when you look at the thick line, let's say you go to your right and then to the left, or let's say I'll go to the left and then to the right. So when you kind of look at it, the thick line is the negativity. And so I was thinking, well, when you're really in a negative place, it's actually thicker. It's taking your energy outside of where you could be congruent. It's taking it out of you, outside of you, and you're losing your energy. So I kind of was thinking that this idea is if you start going in a negative direction, so you go down in a negative direction, and then you come into the future in a negative direction. So this is kind of the idea. And I kept thinking, well, what is happening when I do a therapy session, when people are talking about the past and they're feeling really terrible, but at that moment, then you say, instead of getting them to recreate their story, you just say, when you remember that happened to you at this moment right now, what's going on in your body, or what are you feeling, or what are you aware of, or what's coming up in your senses? So then you bring them into the present so that they can then feel their feelings and then begin processing, rather than staying in a story in the past. So we dance around in a ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the middle and knows. So what's this middle? What is this place? I've been so curious about it. Satir said, every time you worry, you give yourself negative energy. So worrying, and that's why anxiety is rampant nowadays, because we have so many students that are so anxious because of immediate tragic events that happen on the internet, because we can get it the split second it happens around the world, we get it right now. And so it's so important to really be aware of how you're spending your energy. So this negative focused, is the comment about Satir. She said, is my past illuminating my present, or is it contaminating it? And I think this is one thing I've really learned about the Satir model, especially with John, is that when you ask questions of an inquiry nature, when the questions are really opening, you can ask questions that support you. There's so much that can happen rather than questions. And we always say, don't ask why questions. Why am I here? Why doesn't anyone love me? Why is something wrong with me? Why don't I belong? So when we ask questions of a negative bent, it doesn't help us. So you want to ask questions. And this is why we ask questions of ourselves and of our clients, questions that allow them to have like an inquiry process. That's why I love the influence of the non-duality, because there's such an inquiry process that happens. So the negative focus past really is you looking into the negative, and then what happens is it spins back and affects your future. So your past becomes a light when it helps you notice what's going on in your present. So yes, if you can take the past and learn from it, then that's why it was there for learning. Because I can say to myself, why didn't my dad teach me about money? You know, why didn't I know about buying a home? All my brothers and sisters all had homes in their 20s. I never bought a home until my 50s. I rented for years. I had no idea about how to think about myself. And I just was living hand to mouth day by day. So I could be really mad at that. And I could say, my gosh, I have to now keep working because I can't retire. But I love what I'm doing, by the way. So I'm really loving working. That's not really an issue. But the piece is I could beat myself up for not being in a better financial state because I had some difficult financial things. And so I could really beat myself up. But if I can say, hey, I can learn from this, I can move forward. I'm going to allow myself to think differently. I'm going to, change my poverty thinking, because look how abundant I am. It changes everything. So as I looked at the past, for me, what I realized that there's some easy things to think about, that when you can forgive, it gives you freedom. But many people can't forgive because sometimes forgiveness is tied in with religion. So then I usually will let go of the word forgiveness if it doesn't work. And I will say, what about letting go, because it lets you grow, or letting them release? So letting go or release, to me, are really great words if forgiveness doesn't work. But what happens is if we can't forgive, we stay attached to the thing that we're upset about. And many people say, well, if I forgive, then I'm condoning what happened. Forgiveness is not for condoning. Forgiveness is freeing yourself from that event. Otherwise, it haunts you and it stays attached to you energetically. So letting go lets you grow, release energetic glue, because it actually stays in your psyche, in your body, in your mind, and impacts all your thoughts and feelings. And then if you can do that, then it's accepting what is. You don't have to like what it is. John always said, accept, but don't like it. And that always helped me to really kind of de-enmesh. Acceptance doesn't mean it was okay that it happened, but accept that it happened because that was what happened. It's past, can't be changed. Sometimes we put our expectations that things should have changed, but that doesn't help us. Accept it, and then you have energy to move forward and learn from your past. So if we can then look at the positive, then I'm kind of looking at that little infinity ring in the center as more when it isn't so negative and you start to go in a positive ring. So the infinity starts going in a positive, up to the positive, and then it comes around positively. So I had a client comment. It's actually the first time I ever met her. She was a Japanese woman and said to me, first question she said to me was, how do I love myself? And in my mind, I thought, oh my God, I'm glad she got me as a counselor, because I knew what to do. And so we did an experiential exercise with her thinking about her children that she loved, and then having her step into the energy. So I just want you to take a moment. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to just breathe into your heart. I want you to see either a person, an animal, or somebody that you love, a best friend, a partner, a child, a grandchild, a niece, nephew, cat, dog. Just see them in front of you and just feel yourself sending them love from your heart. Just take some breaths, send them love. Just breathing deep in, sending them love. And you could even imagine the infinity going between you. So you could just imagine you sending them love and you receiving their love and sending them love, and that there's this beautiful exchange between you two. And now I want you just to take a moment and just be aware of the love that comes from your heart for this person or this animal or this memory maybe. And then I want you just in this moment, you feel your energy going to that person, that animal, that place, and then I want you to step forward into your own energy before it gets to the other. So it's kind of like it loops through you. You kind of let it loop through your heart, and now you step into it and receive your own energy before it gets to the other. So take some breaths and see if you can just feel in your mind's eye stepping forward into your own energy and receive your own love. And as you receive your own love, this is the exercise. I'm just going to stop for a moment and just let yourself come back for a second. Take a breath in. And just going to check with hands up. Did anybody feel your own energy? Isn't this wonderful? Nobody teaches us that we have our own love within ourselves that we can actually receive. We're looking outside of ourselves for someone to love us. And when I've done this exercise with people, it's often sometimes tears happen. It's actually so simple. But I would encourage everyone to do this often. So simple. I just made it up years ago and I kept doing it. And it's like, oh, people seem to get this. So I'm just going to come back to screen share. Hi, Carolyn. Nice to see you. So the client, so from doing that exercise, this woman in her first session said, today's the first day I've loved myself after so many years of feeling the opposite. And the way we did it was using her teenage children to access this energy. So again, the negative, the negative will move you towards the negative in the future. Oops, just a sec. So Satir said, it's not true that we cannot change our present or our future. She had such hope. She believed in people, deeply in people, and that's why so many people have been impacted her. So when you start in the infinity in the center, going positive upwards, it will loop back and go come back to you. Now I'm just going to do a screen share to stop, and I'm just going to show you a video. So here we go. So I don't know why, yeah, the sound's not coming on because so I tried this morning.
We're hearing the sound.
We hear it. The golden sphere of light.
We've got it.
The heart with infinity purple represents flowing life energy, balance and congruence. Past is behind, future in front. Heart represents the present. Infinity black represents negative thoughts and judgments, stories. Focus on a negative past brings negativity to the present, which creates a negative future. Increasing negative focus expands infinity black, which creates imbalance. Systemically, the golden sphere of light shrinks and blackens. Negativity is expressed by indulging, denying, projecting, judging, and complaining. Stress increases, life energy is reduced and restricted. The heart center's flash of light represents ever-present connection to core life energy. Infinity blue, shrinking, represents intentionally feeling one's feelings all the way through to the 0 point without story. Simultaneously, infinity black shrinks and dissipates into 0 point, into no thing. Green emerges from 0 point and spirals out through the energy sphere, cleansing black negative residue. Negative energy is dispersed out of the body into the universe. Infinity reversal initially moves upwards, and infinity green loops back and forth, representing growth. The past is acknowledged, valued, appreciated for learning that has been gained. Systemically, the sphere expands into a golden sphere of bright light. The past is accepted, the present is alive, the future is hopeful. Infinity green turns into infinity purple, representing life energy, balance, and congruence. Time resolves, and now there is infinite access to life energy and the ability to shine light into the world.
Okay, so this is how the idea about the positive. So Satir said, experience will soon become your past and a foundation for a new present and future. So you can really change the present by changing the present right now in a positive way. Ram Dass said, be here now. So then I started thinking, well, what about the iceberg metaphor and my zero infinity idea? Because my idea, I believe, is systemic, because I've actually also done it with yin and yang, and I've also done it with heaven and earth. So I've kind of done it in different areas, but I'm showing you the two here today. That I was thinking, the negative, like I was thinking, wow, if I think about it with the iceberg metaphor, if their behaviors, they're acting on behaviors they used to do, you can change it. You can have them look at their feelings from the past. You can actually change the feelings or help them change their feelings in the present so that they can actually change the negative perceptions and start having new beliefs about themselves, expectations, their yearnings, and the self. So I kept thinking, this is really another way to really begin looking at this. If you bring in the two concepts together about what is, gee, they're negative perceptions, or they've got a negative story. I wonder how they can, you know, bring them into the present moment to feel how they feel about that negative story, so that then they can start changing it to the future. So I kept wondering about this. And so I'm just also going to do another video as well.
The iceberg represents a person. Infinity purple represents flowing life energy, balance, and congruence. The iceberg consists of various components. Infinity black represents negative behaviors, stories, and stresses above the waterline. Below the waterline are negative feelings, feelings about one's feelings, negative perceptions, unrealistic expectations, unmet yearnings, and a disconnection from self, I am. An increased negative focus expands infinity black, creating imbalance. Infinity black can be located at any component of the iceberg. The external stormy weather is a mirror of the negative internal world. The flash of light represents ever-present connection to core life energy. Infinity blue represents awareness and intentionally feeling one's feelings all the way through to 0 point without story. Simultaneously, infinity black shrinks and dissipates into 0 point. Negative energy is released as bubbles up into the atmosphere. Numerous infinity green loops move throughout the components of the iceberg, each positively impacting each other. The external weather becomes sunny and calm, mirroring the harmony of the internal world. Infinity green represents learning, movement, and growth. Infinity green turns into infinity purple, which represents flowing life energy, balance, and congruence. Internal harmony allows infinite access to core life energy and the ability to shine light into the world.
You could hear that too? Ah, wonderful, wonderful. I'm just going to come back onto my PowerPoint now then. So by having movement, it just allowed me to really think a little bit more about what was really happening. But to me, I also was the important thing to have our clients be aware of, that these are some of the things I think really help people become into the now. When we increase awareness, so this is what counseling can help our clients to do, is that if you can offer them something that they don't know. So every session I try to find something that they're not aware of. And when they can have awareness, then so much can happen, because changes can happen. Then when you can have them believe in themselves, or you believe in yourself, whether you apply this to a client or to yourself, just apply these ideas of now to you or your clients. So when we believe in ourselves as therapists, or believe in ourselves as people, then we're going to believe in our clients. Because if I had a lot of doubt in my life, and I didn't know I could become a counselor, but John believed in me, and then I started to believe in me, and then I worked through my own areas where I doubted myself. And now I really, truly am authentically believing in myself as well as my clients. Breath. If you can breathe, breath takes you into yourself. So all you do is if the person is a real talker, sometimes you take them into their breath to bring them in to themselves, or slow the breath. So slow and low. I always think slow, low, and deep. And so if you can get the breath in to themselves and stop things, then they can actually just come to their center. So take their breath to the belly. So again, I want you to take a deep breath right now into your belly, because I know we're up in the head because I'm talking a lot. But again, take a deep breath, and I'll do the same. Into my belly, into your belly, into our bellies. And then creativity. If you can do anything creative, singing, dancing, music, poetry, hula hoop, it doesn't matter, anything creative. So a lot of people have been taught that they're not creative, but we are creative beings. It's our innate nature. And so creativity is who we are. So I even tell people to scribble, rip paper, just anything. So to get beyond a person's belief systems about I'm not good in art, it doesn't matter, just scribble. So, throw rocks, draw on the sand, anything. So if you can get your, clients to do something that gets them into the right brain, then you can start loosening up possibilities. Compassion. Compassion is usually understanding, gentleness and understanding. So if they can be gentle, if they can understand their situation or understand themselves, compassion can happen. If faith, you don't have to be religious, but at least have some kind of belief in something outside of yourself. And if you don't, if you're an atheist, then you just accept that. But I will believe in them, even if they don't believe in something. It's okay. Freedom. If we can feel a sense of freedom, that's where, we can just feel, now. So blowing bubbles, I don't know, running, just doing something that makes you feel free. I actually was rollerblading. I pulled my rollerblades out after 20 years. Of course, I fell a few times and I had to go to the chiropractor, and I'm 65, but hey, I felt so free. It was so worth it. So I'm going to do it again. Not fall down, of course. But gentleness, if we can be gentle. So I always think if you ask people to love themselves, usually that's too hard because there's so many connotations. I always start with be gentle and kind. If you can use gentle and kind, that can start a person loving themselves. So loving kindness is another wonderful thing to say.
Hey, Wendy.
Yes.
It's Jennifer here.
Hey, Jennifer.
At this moment in time,
we may need to stop.
I'm wondering, this is so beautiful and fabulous, and there's so much that it might be wonderful for everyone to have an opportunity to really, it's so rich. And I'm wondering,
let's go into diet. So thanks Jennifer. So this, you can see that these things are really important, and the PowerPoint will be taped. So let's come into the questions. So here's some questions to consider for dyad talks. Where do you put your attention? Are you positive or negative? Is it past, future, or are you present? Do you carry regrets, rumination, or unfinished business? What will allow you to let go or release the past? Have I felt my feelings all the way through, or do I contain, repress, or emote my emotions? How can I experience more appreciation and gratitude? How do I look to the future? Is it expansive and hopeful, or restrictive and fearful? What practices, interests, processes bring me into the present? So you can screen share this, and then I'll just leave this up for a second, and then Jennifer's going to take you into dyads.